see manual. He's done all of his speeches there. He is our scheduler for the next 12 months, and I'm really looking forward to that. He's also the person in this club who is the quickest to volunteer. Whenever anyone sends out a message that they need someone, his hand goes up first. I'm amazed at how quickly he responds. He must be on his computer all day long. Now, I mentioned that Tudor was previously in the club. He didn't last that long. And he never understood why Paul Brunoforte liked Toastmasters so much until he rejoined the club. Since then, he has not only joined Dobson Ranch Toastmasters, but he's also joined in Ahwatukee Toastmasters. And he knows the reason now he's in Toastmasters, because he loves to help people excel. And I would say more than that, he just loves to help people. To him, it's what life is all about. He feels like he is truly blessed to be associated with the best club in the state of Arizona, if not in the entire country. Someone said it was the best club in the entire universe one time. Today he's given the #1 speech from the Entertaining Speech Manual, his first advanced speech, the purpose of which is to entertain the audience. The name of his speech is Look for Opportunities. Please help me give a warm welcome to Tudor Melville.
As many of you know, that I have owned many companies over the years, but I have never owned a company where I had so much fun than I did with a company called airzuka.net. Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, let me take you back to 2005. My wife and I were in California at the swap meet in Orange County, and I'm walking around the swap meet, and I get hit with, at the time, thought it was a Nerf ball. And I looked around, thought maybe I got a paint gun shot, and I look over and I see this guy standing about 20, 30 feet from me with this in his hand. So I walked up to him and I said, "What is that?" He said, "Well, it shoots air 50 feet. And I said, "I've got to have it. How much are they?" And he said, "They're 2 for $30. So I bought 2 of them, met up with my wife, had these big boxes, and she says, "You realize we flew here?" I said, "Yes, honey, but I've got an idea with this toy." She says, "What is it?" I said, "I'll show it to you when we get home." We get home, the next morning, I give it to one of my team members, and I said, "Paul," which is not Paul Brunoforte, I said, "We've got to find out where this toy is being distributed and where it's being manufactured." Within an hour, he came back to my office and he said, "I found the company. They're located in China, but the distributor's in California." And I said, "Let's get him on the phone. Let's talk to him." I get on the phone. I ask for the owner. Name of the company is Can You Imagine? In California. I get on the phone with Bob. I said, "Bob, this is Tudor Melville. I saw your toy at the Orange County Fairgrounds. I'd like to buy some." He said, "Well, we have a minimum order of $250. I said, "How much are they?" He said, $10. Gave him a credit card number. Within 3 days, I had a truckload of airzukas. I was excited. I'm running around our church. I'm shooting people. I'm shooting people at the office. I'm knocking paper off the desk. I am totally excited with this toy. Unfortunately, I think I was the only one excited with this toy. It gets better. I've got this big warehouse with 5,000 square feet, and I visualize filling that warehouse someday. And my son comes to me one day and he said, "Dad, what are you going to do with all those airzukas sitting in the warehouse?" And I said, "Ryan, I'm out $2,500. If you could sell me a few of them, I'd love it." He said, "I'm going to go put together a website and see if I can sell a few." I said, "Do it." He called me back that night and he said, "Dad, somebody took airzuka.com, but they haven't done anything with it. But airzuka.net is available, $10. I said, "Buy it." So he buys the website. The next morning, he calls me up and he says, "Dad, we sold 5 airzukas." And I said, "How did that happen?" He said, "I told you, I put together a website." I said, "That quick?" He goes, "That quick." Well, the next day, we sold another 10. Then we sold 20. I get back on the phone with Bob. Hey Bob, this is Tudor again. I need more Air-Zukas, but I need a better price. He said, well, if you buy a container, I can give them to you for $4.98. I said, wow, a container. How many's in a container? He said, 5,500. I get out the calculator, $26,000 for a container. I pulled the trigger, bought the container. Now try to visualize the shipments coming over on a boat. Okay, 40-foot container coming up on the boat. My son comes to me one day and said, Dad, there's a guy on the phone from a magazine, and he wants to talk to you. I get on the phone. I said, this is Tudor Melville. How can I help you? He said, I'm with a small little magazine here, and I've seen your website. I really like the toy. Is there any way we could get some samples? And I said, absolutely. We shipped them a couple samples. 4 weeks go by. My son calls me up and said, Dad, you're not going to believe it. Our website sold 150 Air-Zukas, and it's not even done anymore. I said, Ryan, how did that happen? He said, I don't know. I don't know how it happened. I said, Ryan, you have a phone number of whoever buys the Air-Zuka. Call him up. He calls him up. Come to find out, our Air-Zuka made a magazine called Discover, owned by Disneyland, highlighting our website. Well, the orders were coming in faster than we. Now remember, we don't even have any yet. And the money's coming in on our credit card machine.
Oh, man.
And the shipment shows up at our door. I call up our church. I got 10 kids to come over and help me box all these things up. We started shipping Air-Zukas. I get back on the phone. Bob, I need more Air-Zukas. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I need a container every 2 weeks for 8 weeks. He said, no problem. I started wiring the money, and our orders were skyrocketing, and then all of a sudden it peaked, and the orders started dropping. Now we're down to 20 a day again. The magazine started to drop off as far as the sales. So we get back on the phone, not with Bob this time, but we start calling some of the radio stations in America. The top 10 radio stations. I said, Ryan, take the top 10 radio stations and send them 2 Air-Zukas, and let's see what happens. A few days later, Ryan calls me back, or comes to my office, and Dad, there's a guy on the phone, he wants to talk to you, he's from San Diego. I get on the phone, I said, this is Tudor, how can I help you? He said, hey, I'm with the radio station here in San Diego, we got your Air-Zuka, and we'd like to interview you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Are you available? Absolutely, I said, I'll be on the radio. So he calls me up, we're live on the radio for 10 minutes, we sold $40,000 worth of Air-Zuka. He calls me back that evening, says, hey, we're going to rerun the video, the audio. That morning we sold another 20,000. The sales were coming in faster than we could keep up. Well, the order started dying off again. And we ended up selling over $700,000 worth of these toys.
Wow.
Well, needless to say, the lawyers and the inventor and the owner of the company got greedy. They saw all the money that we were making, and they started the lawsuit.
Oh.
We got stuck in the middle. However, we got out just in time. We got all our money. And we were done with them. The conclusion of this story, if it wasn't for the current company that I have right now, Suntech Circuits, and the commitment that I have made to everybody, including Paul, that I would stay focused on Suntech Circuits, I would be out looking for another Air-Zuka.